Now then, 11:15, the government's announced a sweeping crackdown on tech firms to protect children online. Speaking at an event in south-west London, Sir Keir Starmer insisted the government would have to take further action, but couldn't confirm what it would be.
I'm open-minded about it. I can see the argument for a ban. I can see the argument that a much more restrictive content-based approach, which doesn't necessarily cut out news and useful information. I think we need to test those options in the consultation, but whatever the outcome, it can't be nothing. It can't be the status quo. We have got to act to protect children. We've got to act, frankly, to help parents and carers who are all really worried about this in relation to their own children and the children they know, and they want to know the government's on their side and it's going to come up and show leadership and support to them in what they need to do.
Let's speak to our science and technology reporter, Mickey Carroll. And Mickey, just talk to us about the challenge here that lays ahead of the government and governments worldwide, because the internet and tech evolves at just a remarkable rate, and to get legislation to keep on track seems pretty hard at the moment.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem that we've heard repeated over and over recently, is that governments, including ours now, there's a lot of kind of very strong rhetoric coming out of our government about a social media ban, want to do something, but legislation takes a long time to put in place and tech moves incredibly quickly. And so that's the kind of challenge that they now face. I mean, we've heard when we say a sweeping crackdown on social media companies and tech companies, there's actually a fair amount of what we've heard today. We've actually already heard, but there are some new things that have been introduced that they think will make a difference. So we just heard the Prime Minister then talking about a consultation. So now, when that consultation is finished, the government will be able to put in place, if it suggests that a social media ban is the best way forward, then it will be able to put that in place much more quickly than it might have been able to. And that's because, you know, you might decide that a social media ban is the right thing to do, but then if you take 2 or 3 years implementing it, then technology could easily have changed. One of the other things that they've announced today is that AI chatbots will now be included as part of online safety regulations, so the Online Safety Act that we saw being fully enforced in July last year. So now one-on-one conversations with those chatbots will be included as part of that. And that's partly spurred on by what we saw with Grok earlier this year and over Christmas, where it started generating deepfake nude images of women and children online. And the government, we heard Keir Starmer say that he went to battle with X over it, and now that capability has been changed. Now the government is saying that those restrictions will apply to all AI companies, so that's ChatGPT, places like Character AI, which are really popular with young people. They'll have to abide by the same rules as social media companies when it comes to protecting young people online. And I think that's something that when the Online Safety Act was devised, that's not something that would have even been considered. This explosion in AI has happened since then. And then the final change that I think is really worth noting is around the preservation of children's data after they die. And I think this is really important because it's come from campaigners who have been working for years tirelessly through grief because they're bereaved parents. So this preservation of data is called Jules' Law, and it comes after the death of 14-year-old Jules Sweeney. So his mum, Ellen Room, has been campaigning since his death in 2022 to get the data of children online preserved after their death automatically, so that parents can get more answers about what's happened in this kind of really tragic moment. So now, when a child dies, the coroner that's involved in their case will have to automatically notify Ofcom, and Ofcom will automatically notify the social media companies who will preserve their data, unless it's really obvious that social media wasn't a part of their death. And that's designed to give parents more answers. But I spoke to Ellen Room, Jules' mum, this morning and also over the weekend, and obviously she's incredibly proud and pleased that this change has come into place. She said this is about truth, it's about accountability for social media companies, but like a lot of the responses that we hear to the government's actions on social media at the moment, she says it doesn't go far enough. That specific bit of law is about protecting children's data once something tragic has happened. What she wants now, and what the other bereaved parents want that are campaigning around these laws, is for more to be done to prevent harm happening in the first place. So that's kind of what these consultations are designed for. I mean, we've seen a social media ban come into place in Australia, and it's now spreading right around the world. It's not just us that are looking at this. You've got France, you've got kind of countries everywhere are starting to look at whether they also want to put this in place. And this is about looking after children before harm occurs, rather than trying to be reactive after there's been harm.